Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guest Margaret. Do you feel like you're dragging some or all of the time? Do you have some medical issues that seem to have arisen suddenly? For you married people, is your love life not all you're hoping it would be? Well, if you answered yes to any of those questions, then you need more exercise in your life. Tonight, I would like to discuss the following items to help you get a move on it and incorporate more exercise and physical activity in your life. I'd like to discuss the benefits of exercise, the recommended amount of exercise you should have, and then show you an average Joe workout to help you incorporate a more structured exercise routine. Let's start out by talking about the benefits of exercise. According to the Mayo Clinic, and I think we all agree the Mayo Clinic would be a credible source on this, there are seven main benefits of exercise. The first one is that exercise controls weight. As Gina mentioned in her speech, it's all about calories, and exercise burns the calories that you intake from food and drink. Obviously, depending on the intensity level of the exercise or physical activity you're undertaking, you're going to burn more or less calories. And the goal is to make sure that you intake the recommended amount of calories based on your current weight and what weight you want to achieve. The next benefit of exercise is that it combats health conditions and diseases. Being active boosts the high-density lipoprotein, or HDL, which is the good cholesterol that doctors want you to have, while reducing the unhealthy triglycerides at the same time. The combination of these factors helps keep your blood flow flowing smoothly, and therefore that prevents cardiovascular disease. Regular physical activity can also prevent or manage other conditions such as stroke, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, depression, certain types of cancer, arthritis, and falls. The third benefit of exercise is that exercise improves your mood. Physical activity stimulates various brain chemicals that may leave you feeling happier and more relaxed. You also feel better about your appearance and yourself in general when you exercise regularly, which can boost your confidence and improve your self-esteem. So, Toastmasters is the mental version of that. Exercise is the physical version of self-confidence and esteem. The fourth benefit is that exercise boosts energy. Regular physical activity can increase your muscle strength, boost your endurance, which helps deliver oxygen and nutrients to your tissues and helps your cardiovascular system work more efficiently. When your lungs and your heart are working more efficiently because of that improved blood flow, that's what causes the boost in energy. The fifth benefit is that exercise promotes better sleep. When you're exercising, you're tiring yourself out, and therefore it allows you to fall asleep faster as well as have a deeper sleep when you do fall asleep. You just have to remember not to exercise too close to bedtime. Now, the sixth benefit I already alluded to in the beginning, exercise puts the spark back in your sex life. In addition to the increased energy and confidence boost, you start looking and feeling more attractive once you exercise regularly. The energy boost also increases arousal, especially in women. The final benefit, and I could arguably say the most important benefit, is that exercise can be fun. Exercise allows you to unwind and allows you to do an activity that you enjoy doing. So, for example, if you enjoy the outdoors, then maybe a regular exercise activity you do is hiking. Depending upon the activity, it also offers you the opportunity to socialize with other people. I I also like to point out that if you don't like the current activity you're doing to get your exercise in, it's pretty easy to change to something else that you'll enjoy more. Now that we've discussed the benefits of exercise, I'd like to talk about the recommended amount of exercise you should have. The amount of exercise you should do each day or each week is dependent upon your age. So let me discuss what the Center for Disease Control, I think we agree that's another credible source of information, what the recommended amount of exercise should be. Now for children, which would be ages 6 to 17, the CDC recommends 1 hour of exercise each day. So that's 7 hours per week for children. These should consist of aerobic exercises, so running, jumping, when the kids are playing in general outside, that would be good aerobic exercise. And you should do that at least 3 times a week, or the child should. They also want the child to do muscle strengthening exercises, and for children they don't recommend doing the heavy weights that you see adults do. They suggest things more like sit-ups, push-ups, chin-ups, more where they're just moving the body to increase the muscle. And again, that should be done at least 3 times per week. And finally, bone strengthening exercises, which on the website for the CDC they mentioned rope jumping rope, and running as bone strengthening exercises. And again, those exercises should be done 3 times a week. For adults, which they're categorizing as ages 18 to 64, you should get in 2.5 hours or 150 minutes of moderate physical activity, or 75 minutes or an hour and a quarter of vigorous physical activity each week. So if you take those numbers, 75 and 150, and divide those by 7 days, I think that's pretty manageable to do somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes of exercise a day. Obviously, some days you're going to do more, other days you're going to do less. Now, this should also consist of the aerobic activity, and 2 days should be devoted, or 2 times a week at least, should be devoted to, again, the muscle strengthening exercises, and this would incorporate more weights as well as some of the exercises I mentioned for children that exercise all the major muscle groups. And in case you're wondering what those major muscle groups are, they are your legs, your hips, your back, your abdomen, your chest, your shoulders, and then your arms. Now for older adults, which they classify as ages 65 and up, the CDC actually recommends the same amount of physical activity as the age 18 to 64 adults, but there's 2 caveats to that. 1, that the person is generally fit to begin with, and 2, that they have no limiting health conditions. So we've covered the benefits of exercise. We've talked about the recommended amount of exercise you should get. Now let's talk about the exercise itself. Now, while I don't want to discourage and in fact recommend various low to moderate physical activities such as just general walking and doing chores and things like that, in order to reap the full benefits of exercise that I mentioned earlier, and I really believe, and this is based on the personal training, that you need to incorporate a more structured exercise routine. And as a result of the personal training, I asked one of my trainers, Rob, to give me what he would consider an average Joe workout, and so I'm going to share some of that with you. This will be broken up into 3 phases. The first is sort of the warm-up phase, and so one of the things he recommends is just doing a light jog for probably 5-10 minutes, something like that. And I would guess this would take you maybe about an hour, so you can modify it if you only have a half hour, or if you have longer time, maybe do more sets. He also recommends lunges, which can either be done forward like this, or kind of to the side like this. Inchworms, and I'm going to demonstrate some of these on the table. Obviously, I don't recommend that. I just wanted something where I could be high enough to visually show you what the exercises were instead of everybody kind of standing up as I'm doing this on the floor. So the table is just for demonstration purposes only. And an inchworm, you pretty much, as the table's wobbly too, you pretty much start in a position like, more or less like this, and then you move your arms out like that, and then you contract again. That's how an inchworm moves along the ground, so that's how you would do those exercises. Again, plank is going to be another one. Plank is basically holding a push-up position, so sort of like this and holding it, and then you can move side to side or forward with those if you wish. And for the warm-up, it was recommended to do the ones with movement. A medicine ball top, and obviously this is not a medicine ball, this is a Wilson basketball, but again, for demonstration purposes, so you get the motion of the exercise rather than the intensity of the exercise. So one of the exercises that I actually do currently is you kind of start up here and then do a squat, then down there, up and down, and then just some body weight squats, so not using weights or anything, and sometimes I usually add a little hop in there. So that's the warm-up. For the actual workout itself, there's, and these should be done 2 to 3 sets, 8 repetitions if you're just using a single arm or leg movement, or 16 if you're using both arms or legs at one time. You have to carry this because I think some of these go here. The first one is called a leg bridge, and I had to get a refresher. So the leg bridge is actually holding one knee like this, and the other one's kind of bent, and then you raise the back part of your leg up so you're activating the hamstring behind there as sort of a stretch. Now taking the med ball and then doing a lunge with it, because holding this will kind of force you to make sure you have good balance with your lunges, and I have to do a lot of these lunges every time, so I'm well versed in that. Either pull-ups or rows with a band, and I'm going to show the rows. So I just have a band here. Oops, hopefully I won't. And it's basically, it probably should be a little lower, there we go. And it's, so I'm going to hold the thing and just do one arm, but it's basically holding in the middle and pulling and pushing back, and that's supposed to activate your core. A squat, so I mentioned the squat before, but now taking some weights, which I don't personally own a set of weights, so, and then sort of starting in the squat, then curling, sort of moving up and pressing. Doing push-ups with your feet on the bench. So if I were using the table as a demonstration, which I'm not going to do for this one, because when you're using a bench, it's not quite as high as that table. You would have your feet, in this case, on the table and your hands on the ground, and doing a push-up that way, and holding your feet on the bench. That's more support for you. A lot of what we have to do, and I'm just demonstrating with the phone books here, but doing a step up. You can just do a step up and step down, and or you can add weights and sort of do a knee raise with the step ups as well. There's a lot of variations you can do with that. And finally, tricep dips or a triceps push down. One that I do in training a lot is I'm holding the weight like a dumbbell on top, and to activate the triceps, it's actually pushing back and pulling back up like that. And then for the cool down, there's planks that I already demonstrated, and then I'll demonstrate a few of the stretches that I normally do that's recommended, because I always recommend stretching to cool down after any workout. The first area is the groin. So the exercise I do for that is sort of moving one leg over the other, and then taking the arm around the leg that's bent. Hamstrings. Usually, I think many of you are probably familiar just with the straight stretch here that's activating underneath there. For a quad stretch, I usually do a standing one with one leg at a time, and then I use the other arm for balance. some calf stretches. The one I usually do is you have one leg sort of at a 90-degree angle here, and then the other leg is kind of pulled back, and you just hold it with your arm. And then a shoulder stretch, just do it across the arm there. And then anything you need to do with back stretching, if you're familiar with yoga, I just kind of do some back stretches more that actually my chiropractor recommended. So that gives you a good warm-up, exercise, and cool-down method. So as I've just discussed, there are many benefits of exercise, including controlling weight, managing and preventing some health conditions and diseases, and increased energy and sleep. And for increased energy, the heart monitor is a good recommended tool for determining calorie burning and the intensity level that you're putting in. Using appropriate planning, you can fit in the recommended amount of exercise each week that I mentioned, those recommended by the CDC. I have demonstrated several easy exercises that you can do to incorporate a more structured exercise routine, and I recommend consulting a trainer or looking on the internet if you want more exercises than the ones I demonstrated this evening. I also want to emphasize, as Gina pointed out in some of her tips with her food, that proper nutrition and diet are also essential for a good overall program and reaping the benefits of exercise that I mentioned. So what are you waiting for? Get out there and get a move on it and start incorporating more exercise and physical activity into your daily and weekly routine today. Mr. Toastmaster.
Very good.